Right now you're looking at Lightroom CC on desktop. Uh, Software you can download anytime you have a subscription for Lightroom and Photoshop. If you just have the basic packages, you get all versions of Lightroom. You don't have to get one or another. So Lightroom CC, Lightroom Classic all come. The app is free as well. So if you have a subscription and you sign in, then you're able to have full functionality of the software on your mobile device. What I wanted to look at, what are the differences between editing images inside Lightroom CC desktop versus Lightroom Classic, that's strictly desktop, no cloud base, is necessary. Because what we have here is kind of a junky yard, but it's also kind of a cool one for photography. And if you notice over here on the right side, we have a cloud icon. Up here, I can upgrade how much I have in storage, which I really don't want to do. So I keep mine up to date. Here we can pause syncing all the way at the bottom. Which Lightroom are you using? You connect your devices is what it's saying here. Under the question mark, I close that by clicking on the cloud again. Question mark. How do you add your photos? So it has some tutorials in here. Right here, so that if you get lost a little bit, you can come here and you can do exactly what you'd like to, or ask what you would like. Here we can save to, we can share it, we can export it, so to speak, and come in, we can share and invite. So there's icons that are up here. If I go to here, none of my images have keywords. So if I type in blue and return, then Sensei is what this is called. Sensei, if you notice down here, any image that is blue, it finds, or that has blue. And that's pretty amazing, isn't it? So, looks like blue is favorite color of mine. Sorry. I gotta say plants. Now, if you notice the film strip down here, well, that's a power plant. I guess that works. But you can see the plants that have some blue in it. And so we have some touches of blue back here. Blue bonnets, this is in Texas. Definitely blue. Macro shot, another macro shot. So this sensei is able to find faces. And you can see all the faces that are coming in down here. Don't have a whole lot, but it finds and detects faces for us. So it's a beautiful way of searching the catalog of images or folder wherever you've gone to, and then as you can see, I'm just typing up in this the search field. And so Sensei is really nice. Lightroom Classic does not have it, so that's one advantage right now, at least, uh, for for coming in. And we'll go back to the image that I wanted to show. Now coming over to here, I'm gonna click on it a couple of times so it'll open and close, but you can see the green dot. This is our editing icon. Down below it is our crop icon. We have a heel, and we don't need to see the pop-up windows. Here's the heel. We have the brush, we have the linear gradient, we have the radial gradient, and go away, got it. So then we can copy a settings going all the way down to the three horizontal dots. We can show original, reset to original. So we edited in Photoshop. So there's a lot of controls in here that we have. And if I go back to the edit tool, we essentially have something called light. We have a curve, just like what we have in Lightroom Classic. I'm not going to go through these too much. I just want to show you where they are. Since you're a part of my class, you already we learned Lightroom Classic first, so you can refer back to your notes or tutorials on those because these are exactly the same. I can bring the highlights down. You know, if you watch the clouds, look, there's actually some blue in there, and got some clouds coming in up here in this area. So they work exactly the same in terms of what these features do. And so if I hold down the Option key, I get to see the mask back there to set my black point, just like what we did before. Holding down Option key, setting my white point, just like what we had before. So all these things are right here in Lightroom CC. And again, this is the um, what am I trying to think? Oh, computer desktop version. We also have the profile that I skipped right over, so sorry about that. Always try the auto button all the way up here. So it does work, and so though you can give that a whirl. If you don't like it, then you can Command Z to undo, just like what we've done before. And then we have color, which controls the color. We can also have the target adjustment tool right here. I'll click it on it a couple of times so you can see it. So this way, if I have it, then it has the control down here for hue, saturation, and luminance. Do I want to darken colors? Do I want to brighten colors? And you can see when I do, what happens is if you're able to zoom in on yours, it has two little dots off to the side where I can darken and lighten, etc. So I'm going to change the saturation on this green, and it gives me that little spectrum bar saying, well, how do you want to change the color? Or saturation. So I wanted to saturate those up. So it really is a nice way. I'm going to change the hue of this one. So it gives me different colors of green from yellow to cyan. You know, and it does look at all that. And such a cool tool, isn't it? I can hear you say, oh yeah, all right. Then under effects, we have we have a new feature called texture, and it's a way of enhancing detail of areas that are sharp but not blurry. Clarify is the same. Uh, Clarity, sorry, not clarify, but clarity is the same as what we have, where it's increasing midtone contrast. Dehaze is looking at saturation and contrast and so forth. We can add a little vignette if we want to focus back on the door. Of course, we have the other. Then we come down to detail for sharpening and noise reduction. Optics, remove chromatic aberration, which I tend to do almost all the time. Chromatic aberration is formed especially when you're using wide-angle lenses and shooting wide open, and it does happen on cameras as well, uh, meaning camera phones. And then a geometry if we wanted to do some straightening and so forth. So we have all the tools associated with exactly the same thing. If I go Command equals or plus, I can zoom in, minus, zoom back out. I can also do the same thing right down here. Goes to one, fill, fit. You can do that. I can also do a comparison. There's the original. Here's with the changes that I just did. Over to the right, I have some presets, and I'm clicking right down here. Let's open it back up. I'll say we got it. We got a lot of color. And the beautiful thing is if you hover over it, then it shows you the effect that it will have if you were to click on it. So it works very seamlessly, and it's got some other curves and so forth, and user ones if you made them, etc., etc. So a lot going on. If I go to the brush, it works exactly the same way. Let's see. Hopefully you can zoom in, you can see it. If I hold down the Shift key and use the scroll, I change the feathering, just like in Lightroom Classic we learned. If I don't hold it, then and it's showing it right up in this area. Okay, the size. but I like doing it in here. And when I start to paint, it gives me the effect that's being applied in here. And you can see it's got a lot of exposure. If I hover over exposure, it tells me that it'll reset it to 0 automatically. Same for contrast, because it's also sticky. So if I've used anything before and didn't reset these before I started to paint, it uses the past settings that I had. So now, if I tap the letter O, just like in Lightroom Classic, I can see where I'm painting. And I'm going to grab that. I'm going to tap delete to get rid of that push pin. And so it works exactly the same way that we're used to. And so now if I come in, I can paint the, yes, I'll tap the letter O to hide the overlays. I can brighten up my highlights within there. It takes a little bit more time because remember, it's looking into the cloud. And so it's taking a little bit more time, but I can brighten up that path. I can come in and I can add a new brush. So right up here, there's a plus sign. I can add a new brush and I can come in and maybe highlight this doorway, tap the letter O to see it. So we can come in, did I tap the letter O? There we go. So now I can come in. It's already brightening it up. I'll tap the letter O again. Come on, go away. It does take a little bit of time. So I can really brighten and highlight that doorway visually coming in. Okay, so as you can see, if I want to come and erase an area, hopefully you saw it, it's right here, the eraser tool, then I can erase away some of the effect. And so we're working exactly the same way. The gradient works the same as well. Coming in, I'll make sure it's ugly. Alright, so you just click, drag and pull, and whatever you want to do within that gradated area is what Lightroom will do for you eventually. As I said, because it's cloud-based, it tends to be a little bit slow, which is the drawback, but you can edit all that you like coming through Lightroom Classic on desktop. If I come into Firefox, the browser, let me go to the same image. Now what I have to do is come to the left, and I'm going to come right over here. It says edit this photo. If you notice, it's got the 3 little horizontal lines. When I click on it, then it comes back over into to the right side once again. Remember, this is completely web-based. It has nothing to do with my hard drive, has nothing to do with my computer. And these, if I save them, will update. So this may eventually pop to what I just did just a second ago. Coming up here to the upper right area, we have presets, just like what we saw, what I showed you. If I open it up, let them come in. It's still not loaded, but they'll update as well. We also have a crop tool. And if I go back to adjust, and I'm waiting, I'm gonna refresh the browser. There we go. So now if I come over to exposure, just to show you a little bit, you can see that it popped a little. That's a lot. Now if I come back, I have to double click on the word exposure to reset. It doesn't show the word reset like it did with Lightroom CC on desktop. But we have all the same controls that you see here. Let's try presets now. So this one does not update when you just hover, or give you a preview of it, so you'd have to actually click on it in order to see it. We do have effects, which is texture, clarity, dehaze, vignette, just like what we had before. We have the color settings as well, but it does not have the target adjustment tool. Um, so you'd have to be able to guess which color you want to change. So if I came in with the green, if I want to change the hue of it, again, it'll take a little bit of time to update, but it's got all the features that we just looked at. Okay, and there you go. See all the cyan that's coming in there. Double click on green, it resets to its default. So the web-based version is scaled down. It doesn't run real fast, but it's also in its infancy. But you are able to work on your images. I'll click on save over here on the left side, save and edit, come back. And as you can see down in this area, you can flag, you can star, so you can do your edits just the same. Now when it pops in, if I tap the letter G, I go back to grid view as well. And so here's all my synchronized collections that I talked about in another tutorial. So as you can see, Lightroom CC, both desktop and web version are working exactly the same. And you saw a little bit on the phone as well in a previous tutorial, and it too works exactly the same way.